In progress.
There we go. Welcome back to the Lovecraft Easing podcast, everybody. Please let me know that you can see us and hear us. That'd be appreciated. I had a few technical difficulties earlier, so I need to know. And we're back from the holidays. So we've got Nadia's cat is here, and Nadia also. And my cat is here, and I'm here also.
And Bridget Brenmark is here, and she's looking very gothy tonight with the smoky eye.
Smoky. Yep. So anyway, man, the wind is blowing, I kid you not, like 30 miles an hour out there. So I won't let Jupiter go out. Last time he went out, he saw this wind coming and everything blowing. His eyes got real wide and he ran back to my office.
Aw.
It's pretty cute. So anyway.
That didn't work like I wanted it to.
What's that?
Are you okay, Bridget? You're kind of raspy.
I got tangled up. No, I'm fine. I was talking to myself. It was why I was raspy.
We're going to talk about
There we go. Now I'm untangled. Sorry.
We're going to talk about a few things, but especially some of our picks for some of our favorite horror books, movies, and games, horror movies, horror books of 2024, because this is our first episode in 2025. And I asked Nadia to come on because she watches a lot of horror movies and she's got a really great letterbox thing. I don't have one of those. Can they go to letterbox and then type in your name to find your
Yeah, they can type in N Bulkin.
Bulkin. All together?
Yep.
Okay. NBULKIN. BULKIN. All right. So yeah, thanks for being here, Nadia. It's good to see you.
You too.
Nadia was the guest of honor at Necronomicon, this past Necronomicon.
No.
Yes.
No.
It's true.
It's true.
Yeah. Her panelist price has gone way up since then for me to have her on the show.
Wait, you're paying?
No, not as far as you know. All right, so what's your cat's name, Nadia?
Piper.
Okay, Piper.
He's named after my favorite witch on the TV show Charmed.
Oh, okay.
Love it.
For those who don't know who you are, could you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a horror writer based out of Washington, D.C. Let's see. My collection that I'm most known for is She Said Destroy. That's a few years old now. But I'm going to be releasing a new one next year. So that's exciting. This year. Oh my God. 2025.
Yeah.
Who's publishing it?
Ghoulish.
Do you have a title for it yet?
Yes, it's called Issues with Authority.
Where can people go to pre-order that? Because I think you told me the pre-order link is up.
Yes, it is. You can pre-order it through Ghoulish website. I can probably send you a link here that you can put into the show too. So
yeah, that we can put it. Somebody can put it in the side chat for me. And what's the name of it again?
Issues with Authority.
Issues with Authority. Would you take care of that, Alan?
I'm actually looking now myself.
Or Matt. Bridget, would you introduce yourself? For those who
Hello, I'm Bridget, composer, producer, artist.
Cat owner.
Cat owner, yes, also a cat owner. Daniel, because he looks like Daniel Tiger, and Boulder.
So Matt put that in our site. Okay, thanks, Alan. You're way ahead of me. Pete.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Pete Rollick, writer, editor, man about town. Still dealing with this haircut, which went a little shorter than I wanted, but I'm told it makes me look younger.
By who?
The woman who did it? No.
Did your wife tell you look younger?
Yeah, she does. She says like when I actually clean up, I look younger. But
okay.
Yeah.
That's nice of her to say that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's me.
And Matt.
Hi there, I'm Matt Carpenter. I run Lovecraft Easing Movie Night. I can say I am planning to be completely retired by the end of March, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so for a prize, You may not remember, but Stone Skin Press was really cool. 8 to 10 years ago, they were putting out terrific Lovecraftian anthologies.
They
And this
suck now, but 8 to 10 years ago they were really
I
good.
was wondering.
no, well, the thing is, I think they're out of business.
Oh,
I just messing, but
Um, the Letters to Lovecraft is this is a library copy, so you have to accept the fact that it's got like library markings on it inside it. So it's a reader's copy, not for collectors, but it's a great anthology. If you want it to enter, send an email to easinprizes@gmail.com. We will do a drawing in about 6 to 8 weeks, and you could win it. Now, Mike has explained this roughly once a year. So to start the year, the way that we do our drawings are I get the emails in the order received, and that's basically just a list starting from the top is number 1.
mhm.
So I go to the site random.org, which is a true random number generator. I put in the number of entrants. It spits out a number, like say 6, and I'll count down from the top, and the 6th entry wins the prize. So every drawing is redone and it's all random. So everybody's got a pretty much equal chance who enters.
Right.
If you don't enter, you got no chance.
And just officially, as we start the new year, I'll say again how I appreciate you giving out these prizes every week. I'm going to have a couple prizes coming up as well in the next month or two. So, Alan.
Hey, I'm Alan Hughes. I try to keep the eZine movie and game page updated. And that's
You don't just
been
try,
working on.
you succeed. Or what was the line in Casablanca? We all try, you succeed.
Oh, well,
Nadia, I don't know if you see the side chat for the viewers, but Donna said that you have a beautiful cat. Well, that's a paraphrase. Hello, everyone. It's Donna Lane. Nadia, your cat is gorgeous. Gorgeous is in caps with 3 exclamation marks.
Thank you. I definitely am not responsible for that. They did not birth her, but
Well, that's good to know.
yeah.
Jupiter's a little upset at me because I won't let him out, but it's just too windy and cold. Well, for those who are here for the first time, I'm Mike Davis. The little black cat on the floor is Jupiter, and I run this podcast as well as other projects. Um, I was talking to Danielle about the podcast, and you can't see my whiteboards back here, but just some goals I've on the whiteboards for the Lovecraft Easing podcast and other things. And one of the things I'd written at the top, which I say actually pretty often, is it's not just a podcast, it's a community. And I see this more and more um, with people who have discovered the podcast and the Lovecraft Ezine and go to the movie nights on Saturday nights that Matt runs. And I get a lot out of this community. I think a lot of other people do too. And I just briefly want to go over the schedule real quick, and I'm going to update this on the website. Obviously, Sundays we do this at 6 p.m. Eastern. And for 2025, on Mondays, the audio will go up on Monday, the day following, on Spotify and iTunes and so forth. Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, I read a horror story live. You know, something either I have permission for or in the public domain. And there are a lot of places, it's ubiquitous, places you can go online to listen to horror stories being read to you. And a lot of them are so well done, but this is with the idea in mind of everyone listening to the story at the same time, you know, sitting around the virtual campfire and listening to a horror story. Now, and chatting in the side chat, just like people are doing now. And it's been a lot of fun. It was an experiment, and I just tried it, and people seem to like it. Thursday nights is kind of my one-man episode at 10 p.m. Eastern, sort of a late night with Lovecraft Easing. You can holster the sarcastic remarks until I'm done, Matt. You just had this look on your face, like, oh my God, is he ever going to stop talking?
I didn't say a word.
Anyway, it's all on this. It's on this channel, so I usually have the upcoming ones right at the top of the channel. If you go to Lovecraft Easing Podcast on YouTube, Friday nights, if you are a Patreon at the bottom tier, $5 level and up, there are so many really great Patreon podcasts that are not available to the public that we do. If you're a Patreon at the $10 level a month and up, then it was every other Friday night, but with the new year, we're doing every Friday night for those who want to attend that are patrons and panelists. Basically, it's just a hangout. It's not broadcast or recorded. We're just hanging out on Zoom. And I asked the patrons if they wanted to go from every 2 weeks to every week, and everyone was very enthusiastic about that. So that is Friday nights at 8, and just Google Lovecraft Easing Patreon. Or excuse me, it's Friday nights at 9 Eastern, 8 Central. So, and then Saturday night, last but not least, Matt, your turn to talk.
We have been doing a screen sharing kind of movie night for years now. Mike Davis started this almost as soon as the Lovecraft Easing went with visual media. So every Saturday, almost every Saturday, I will post a link on the Facebook pages associated with the Lovecraft Easing. We will sometimes have a cartoon at the beginning. For example, we're watching Creature Commandos. We've also listened to the Lovecraft Investigations from the BBC. But at 9 p.m., we'll show a movie. Our wheelhouse is generally folk horror, cosmic horror, Lovecraft adaptations, but we sure do like messing around with creature features, vampire flicks, and werewolf movies too. So everybody's welcome. Sometimes there are limited spots. If we're doing it on Hyperbeam, there's only 12 that are allowed in. But sometimes we're on cast and anybody could show up. We usually have somewhere between 8 and 10 people. There's a nice side chat, lots of fun. If you like horror movies, you can see up to one a week through this shared service.
Yeah, and that's free. That's for everyone. And when Matt says the Lovecraft Easing Facebook pages, what he really means is group. We've got a community group, and he'll post it in there, as well as some of the live chats. He posts it in several places. If you're not on Facebook, feel free to email me, and I'll get your. We'll make sure that you know about it. Lovecrafteasing@gmail.com. So I was going to say something else, but I think that was it.
For example, we just finished the first season of From. We were watching 2 episodes a week, so for the last 5, we had been watching this first season.
Oh, I know what it was. Alan and Bridget, you guys are there somewhat often, right?
Most Saturdays.
Yeah. And is Hyperbeam still working well for you guys, Matt, Alan?
Yeah,
Bridget?
it's just sometimes it depends on what movie the streaming service is on. I can really only share Prime on Hyperbeam. So if I've got a Netflix show or something on HBO, I've got to go do it on Cast. So like say 1 time out of 5, I might be on Cast.
Well, I'm paying for Hyperbeam every month, and I'm fine doing that forever as long as in your view it's still worth it. It's like $5 a month or something.
We'll talk about it. Alan and I have talked about it before. Cast has certainly improved.
Yeah.
And it does allow us to explore, like I'm still trying to get a DVD player to show movies where I can share my DVD with the group, but it's kind of like slogging.
I'll bet Handelman could help you or Alan. So Ben Handelman.
Right.
So anyway, like I said, it's a community, and I'm really very thankful that for all my panelists, all the viewers.
Did you mention the Eldritch Library? The weird library that Bridget is doing?
I didn't, but Bridget?
I was in the middle of typing something in the chat and you're like, Bridget? What'd you say?
Weird Library.
Yes, please come listen to the Weird Library. We've got really cool short stories by really awesome authors. I narrate, I have other folks that narrate, and it's a good time. So come check it out.
Right?
Yeah, but actually, if you go to weirdlibrary.com, then all the links to all the streaming platforms are on there. So
that's great.
yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a great job with it.
Aw, thank you. It's been fun. I like adding music and sound effects and just being able to get people's awesome stories out there. So
yeah.
5 episodes are out now.
I think it's 7, but
Last but not least, and I posted this a couple days earlier for the Patreons, but I did I've been promising this for a while. I did a tour of the book house, my office, and that's on this YouTube channel and on Facebook and everything. So you're muted, Matt. You don't have to mute, and you're not talking.
Do those cats live out there, or they live in the house with you, and you just go out with you to the?
Monty is here almost 24/7. If he's not here, he's in the house. Jupiter is either in here or the house or outside. But like last night, it got up to 70 at night. So
Wow.
it was fine for him. Tonight, it's going to get down into the 20s, which is quite a switch. And that's why I won't let him go out. So, but yeah, I love having him out here. So anyway, let's talk about 2024. Games, books, and movies. Who would like to go first or start us off?
Speaking of movie night,
Yes.
that is generally my source for watching horror movies. I hardly ever go to the movie theater anymore. And there were about 5 or 6 movies, they aren't necessarily from 24 that I watched, that I thought were really quite good. So I'm just going to go through in the order that we watched them. This is not necessarily the order in which they were released. So some authors I know from Southeast Asia are always telling me about how horrible the ghost stories are there. So we've been watching some. For example, there's a show called The Medium. I'm sorry,
yeah.
I forget if it's from Laos or from Cambodia. I could be wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong. But basically, what?
I'm pretty sure it's Laos.
It is it's just a terrific, scary movie where trying to do an exorcism, like exorcism almost always in the Western movies deals with Catholic the figures and icons from Catholicism, because that's what
Right.
everybody knows. But the old ways was where they used Aztec methods to do an exorcism, and in the medium, they're using traditional local spirit magic to try and do this exorcism, and everything has to go absolutely perfectly for this to work.
And it doesn't.
It's really a good watch. The next thing that we watched,
Excuse me a second. It's called The Medium.
The Medium.
Okay, thank you. I just was writing this down.
We watched it in the original language with subtitles, just because that's always better.
Yeah.
And then we watched a movie called Incantation. I think this is Korean. I could be wrong. I apologize if I'm wrong. About a woman is trying to save her family from some magic, and this incantation, the way that she uses it is actually, it ends up being quite horrific. So here was another terrific Asian horror movie that we just saw in the last few weeks.
Horrific and terrific. Sorry, Nadia, what?
Taiwanese.
Oh, Taiwanese. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. That's one of the reasons we watched it. We hadn't watched any Thai horror. It is really freaking creepy. Okay. Then one that Mike Davis recommended we saw was Oddity. This is weird. It is not Lovecraftian, but I gotta say the very ending scene just really creeped me out. A well-made movie.
It's interesting that you mentioned that end scene, which no spoilers here from us, but some people, that only thing that divided some people was the ending scene. And I will go so far as to say, as like you said, I recommended it to you guys, but it's in my view the best horror film of the year. Or maybe a better word is my favorite horror film from 2024. And a couple of months ago, I interviewed the writer slash director, and if you go back on this playlist on YouTube, you can listen in or watch that episode. But he had some really interesting things to say, and it was just a fun interview. But Oddity is a wonderful film.
Okay, now my top 2 movies of the year. The first is called No One Gets Out Alive. It is a wonderful movie about a desperate illegal immigrant from Mexico who's forced to live in a creepy boarding house. And wow, it's just a great creepy movie with really cool creature effects. I think anybody should like this movie. If you like horror, this is a great movie.
That's Adam Neville's, right?
Yeah, the same guy who wrote the Ritual.
Right.
He wrote the story that this was based on. So the last movie that I'm recommending before someone else can take over, we just saw recently, was called Falling Stars, which was totally unlike anything I expected it to be. It is, I don't even want to say anything more about it. I probably would have said too many spoilers when we discussed it last time. But basically, it's harvest season, and there are meteors falling out of the sky, and what they mean by harvest season and what those things falling out of the sky really are will just creep you out. I thought it was a very well-made, understated horror movie. Certainly cosmic, I thought.
Pete, you have something that you wanted to add?
So I'm gonna preface this by saying that movies that I thought I would love, I hated. I thought, and movies we were supposed to like were just not good this year. Like The Crow, Beetlejuice. I just don't think they were good.
Yeah.
I think that's for, and this often happens, is that small budget art movies beat the odds. Daddy's Head was really disturbing.
I love that one.
Daddy's
That sounds
Head.
creepy as hell.
Daddy's Head. Yeah.
And it kind of reminded me of someone taking the 80s video nasty extra and making it grow up. It's just this weird sci-fi horror film that just doesn't really make any logical sense, but it works.
You really like that one, Nadia, too?
I did, yeah. I actually watched that the same weekend as Oddity, and even though I put
Me too.
higher on the list of like, this is probably the more accomplished movie, you know what I mean? I put Daddy's Head was like more of my favorite. And I think possibly because I have like dead parent issues, and it's a little boy who's like trying to communicate with his dead father, and like obviously that's not gonna happen, that's not gonna go well, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so, the whole thing is like this happens in the first scene, so it's not really a spoiler, but his father is disfigured in a terrible accident and dies. So he's always like, I want to see Daddy. And then when Daddy shows up and his head's a kind of like not really Daddy, he's like, well, maybe this is what happened to Daddy. And it's just so viscerally like gut punch, and it's really creepy too, in my opinion. So
It is.
I definitely recommend it.
What is it, a foreign movie or is it an American movie?
I don't know if it's.
I think it's British.
Okay.
Yeah.
No
No
I will
subtitles.
echo what Matt said about Oddity. Oddity is a really good film. It's got a very simple premise, and yet it's terrifying. And oddly, the third film I'm going to mention right now is I watched all three of these on the same day. And I did not expect to like this. Baghead.
I watched like 80% of Baghead, and then I missed the ending, but
I was really surprised about Baghead, and it's an interesting idea. Like there's a bar where you can pay money to go down and talk to somebody who will bring your dead relative back and let you talk to them. But that's not always a good thing. Um yeah, The Substance, um pretty decent film. I have to like it because it's vaguely a reanimator film.
Hmm.
I was surprised. I'm not a big fan of so for me, a lot of slasher movies have evolved into torture porn,
Yeah.
and I'm not a fan of torture porn, but Maxine is pretty damn good. Um
Maxine, what is it about?
uh
it's part of like the Pearl
yeah,
X series.
Oh, okay.
yeah. I did not think I would like these movies because again, I've kind of drifted away from slasher films. Um and but these aren't bad. Um in a Violent Nature, there was real potential here. It's essentially a Jason ripoff. Um, it didn't work.
I haven't seen
Uh,
it, but is that the one that's from the point of view of the serial killer or something?
yes,
And is
it
that a
had real
thumbs up or thumbs
potential.
down?
It's worth watching,
Yeah.
but it's not going to be your favorite movie of the year.
Okay.
It's an
But
interesting concept.
it's an interesting concept, and there are tiny little moments that I really, really enjoyed, but that doesn't save the movie overall. Um, so things like that. I don't know. That's all I can think about right now. Um, go to somebody else. We'll talk about TV and podcasts later.
Okay,
And books. Yeah, Nadia, I was
I'll-
gonna say.
So I totally agree that I think the sort of big budget sort of Hollywood type horror not really doing much. But I do think that we had a great year for like independent
Yeah.
horror, original stories, not sequels, not prequels, not whatever,
Yeah.
I think there was a lot to choose from. So I think very successful year from that angle. I think some of them got a lot of buzz, like social media buzz, even ones that I liked, so I won't mention those. Um, but ones that my favorites of the year that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about. My number one is Red Rooms, which is a
Okay.
Canadian thriller. So it's not Lovecraftian. It is about abnormal psychology, essentially. But it's about this woman who obsessively goes to attend the trial of a serial killer. And you're trying to figure out what exactly is going on, what exactly is her angle. And it is, there's nothing supernatural in this movie, but it is so horrific in terms of it's not gory at all. There's no gore. But what it says about our relationship with crime, reporting, etc., is very, very good, very disturbing. So that is my top of the year.
The obsession with true crime
Do
and
I?
everything, is that the obsession
Yeah,
that people
yeah,
have with true crime and
yeah.
everything? Okay.
Yeah, and like what exactly is going on there? Uh,
I just wrote that one down real quick. Sorry,
mhm.
just want to tell anyone who is new. Um, our we read and talk about and watch all kinds of horror here. Cosmic horror is kind of our base, where we start from. But basically, if it's good and it's horror, we're probably going to be talking about it and watching it at some point. So anyway.
So okay, another one I'm gonna mention is Exuma, which is Korean. And I think if you talking about like Incantation and The Medium, which are both excellent picks, co-sign both of those. You might also like Exuma. It's a similar sort of base of like it's basically para people, like occultists for hire, who are trying to fix a possession in Korea using traditional methods, and it all goes horribly wrong. But I loved the sort of like economy of the possession of people who are making money off of spiritual things. Just very fascinating look, and yeah, just really good.
Yeah, the only problem I had with Exuma is like I didn't think there were any in the end there were any sympathetic characters.
Oh, I thought that, well, your mileage may vary. For me, there were, but
Okay. It's just like, all right, yeah, but yeah,
I'm adding Eczema to my list.
yeah, I think
you'll
you would
like it. It's good.
Me too.
There's some moral ambiguity in what everybody's doing.
Very much moral ambiguity, and I would preface to say that like I grew up in Indonesia, which is like the home of moral ambiguity when it comes to dealing with the spiritual world. So that's why for me it was like, oh yeah, this is totally relatable.
Yeah, it's just like I felt like everybody in that movie got what they deserved.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
It was sort of like when we were watching House of Cards. It's like you could slice everybody's throat in that film and I would not give a shit.
True.
And like every single one of those people in Exuma got what they deserve. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So okay, next one I'll say is Mads, which is a French movie.
How do you spell that?
MADS. It's a single shot. What's one shot? At least that's the premise. And it follows like young clubbers who encounter a diseased woman, and things go very badly from there. I think that you will know pretty quickly what the twist is, but it is a great look if you like kind of transfiguration, body horror type stuff. It's just also very intense. Just great, exhilarating. So
Exhilarating,
like,
really?
Yeah. I would super recommend it.
Wow.
I think what I said on Blue Sky was like, at the beginning I was like, man, I hate all these people. I hate them all, because they're just like, young druggy people with privileged backgrounds kind of thing.
Right.
But then by the end I was like, this is why I watch horror.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to watch it, even though I
visuals like this, like it's that strong. So
no, I wrote it down and I was about to cross it off, and then you said that just now. I was gonna cross it off because I'm not into body horror, so I started when you said body horror, and then
body horror like monster. It's more like, well, I mean, I can tell you what exactly is going on.
It's okay.
But, okay.
I don't want to. But when you said this is why I watch horror, I stopped.
Yeah.
With my, I'm gonna have to check it out just based on that alone.
Yeah.
And by the way, Nadia and I, once every month or two or whenever, at irregular intervals, we do a Patreon podcast, and she talks about her latest favorite horror movies. And first of all, I love Nadia. She's a wonderful person. But secondly, when she recommends a horror movie, at least as far as I'm concerned, in my taste, she seems to always be right. Like if she says you'll like this horror movie, then you will. So write these down, people.
Okay, I only have two more. Okay.
No pressure though, Nadia.
Okay, so the first one is Mads, and this next one are on Shudder also. The Devil's Bath. So Bridget is nodding. Maybe that means she's seen it. Yeah. I actually was like,
I was gonna mention that one too, actually.
Yeah. Okay. So
it was really good.
You can talk about this too, but historically based true horror, essentially set in like rural Austria, where people's lives are not great and they have no way out. And what are they going to do to get out when they have no way out? And that's basically the premise. And it is based on true accounts, which is the most horrifying part of it. It's just like, people actually did this. But excellent. It's by the people who made like, what else did they do? Goodnight Mommy. Like I think they're Austrian director team. So anyway.
Is that one good?
The Devil's Back?
The
Bath.
Devil's Bath. BATH.
Oh, Bath. Okay, I was gonna say.
They're coming out with the sequel next year. I don't know if you knew, but it's going to be titled The Devil's Shower. So.
I totally fell for that. I thought you were being serious for a second.
So, Mike, you asked earlier briefly if Goodnight Mommy was any good.
Yeah.
Goodnight Mommy was probably one of the most disturbing films I've watched in a while.
Really?
Because it's kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, this
Kim
kids are always messed up.
Yeah. Kim just wrote in the side chat, followed by the Devil's Sponge Bath. The Devil's Massage.
Let me tell you, laugh now. You won't be laughing during.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Devil's Bidet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Like,
god.
once you know what that is termed, like what it
actually means, yeah.
I'm picturing a bloodbath, but maybe I'm wrong.
Actually, not that scene, not that specifically.
Okay. And you have another one?
Yeah, the last one I wanted to talk about was All You Need Is Death.
I like that one.
Yeah. So Mike co-signs this one. But I thought this was wonderful, charming, original. And it's about people who are collecting Irish historical folk songs, right?
Folk songs.
songs.
Yeah,
I thought the premise of this was so great. I would have mentioned it too. I'd just forgotten about it.
Yeah.
It is really good. What's the name of that one actress who plays the woman who sings the song?
I'll look it up.
AMC. Okay.
Yeah, she is having quite a little career moment now, appearing in lots of horror movies and TV shows. And she adds great presence. I don't know if
Simone
anyone else.
Collins? Catherine Siggins?
No, it's an Irish name of. I'm sorry, I can look it up.
Okay.
But yeah, that's my last one. I thought it was great. I love anthropological horror, so that's what I would categorize this as.
It's very, very different, and different if done well is always welcome, you know.
Her name is Olwen Ferrere.
Okay.
She's older.
Yeah,
and
which is great too.
She brings in this great gravitas and presence. But when she sings the song, that really makes your hackles stand up.
Yeah.
Oh, she was in, I guess, Shyamalan's daughter's movie too. I forget the name of it.
The Watchers. I've watched a third of The Watchers, and I was having a really hard time enjoying it.
I heard it wasn't great.
I haven't seen it.
But All You Need Is Death. Definitely go see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Question for you guys. So the Evil, the TV series Evil wrapped up in last year in 24. What did you guys think? Those of you who watched the show, did you like the ending? Did you like how they left it off? Did you enjoy the last season? Alan, have you seen it?
I haven't caught the last few episodes yet.
Anyone else? I might be the
I
only one
haven't
here.
I haven't started the last season.
Same.
I thought they kept up the same quality throughout. So
I thought in the second to last season they were just going in too many different directions.
yeah, I can see why. Yeah.
You know, because like there was the whole remote viewing thing that was going on that just suddenly just came out of nowhere. And I really didn't enjoy that. But
It's also lovely to watch because of the actors and the characters. The characters are fascinating. You know, the priest, um, the
The nun just
the
knocked
nun
it out
is
of the ballpark.
amazing. Yeah,
And she's like a Second City TV actress from the old days.
really.
Yeah.
Well, Dark Horse, you know, but she came out. I just kept watching her. I was like, man, she's becoming my favorite character. She's just great. And yeah, I love all the actors, all the characters. Um, Matt's a real big fan of the fact that the protagonist has 4 daughters and they're in danger because of her career choices.
Well, I just think that's a cheap device to get the audience emotionally invested, the way they use it. But I've only seen like 7 episodes because our group viewing discussion sort of petered out.
Well, you can still watch it.
Well, I needed that impetus.
Oh, okay. I'll pay you $1 for every episode you watch.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
One of the things that got me right at the beginning in season 1, and this will sound maybe strange, but it's New York City, right? Am I remembering that correctly? And she and her daughters live in this house that's practically right under a train, and it goes by all the time. And it's just a very gothic look. And I don't know. I'm not describing it very well, but I really liked it. Atmospheric. So yeah.
If that was a plus or a minus.
Plus. It was a plus. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people say, you know, don't want to be near a train to hear it going by. I'm actually 2 blocks from a train that goes by all the time, and I love it. But my wife and son are not fans of the.
It's also a plot point in one of the episodes.
Yes, and it took me completely by surprise. I loved it.
It's not somewhere where you would choose to live.
That's bad. Do we want to mention
and this is why I drink.
Yeah. Anyway, do we want to mention any more movies before we move on to TV or books or games?
Alan or Bridget?
Yeah, Alan.
I got a couple. Bridget, you can
go. There were some movies that maybe just the mood I was in this year that I just enjoyed, and that maybe weren't the best movies ever created, but were just enjoyable. And Late Night with the Devil was one of them. I really enjoyed that movie, so it was fun to watch. Alien Romulus was really fun. And
my kids loved Alien Romulus.
Yeah.
I feel like Alien Romulus did to the Alien franchise what Prey did for the Predator franchise. Gave it a real good kick in the ass.
It was the big budget movie that didn't disappoint.
Yeah.
I told you and Alan this that night, but Bridget and Alan and I and a couple of other patrons, friends, panelists, we all went at Necronomicon one night. We all went to see Alien Romulus in the theater. And I was thinking about it, and I can't remember the last time I was able to go with friends to a movie. It was just so much fun. So
it was a lot of fun to see all that together.
The other fun part for me was when I was sitting next to Bridget, and when the huggers or spider-looking things were, you know, going all over the place, I went like this up her arm. I did too. You don't remember?
No.
You kind of jumped a little bit, but not too much. Anyway, go ahead.
No, it's just not the greatest movie, but I was just going to give a shout out to the creature design in Tarot, because that was really cool. Even though the story was kind of the creatures were really neat. So
Tarot.
Yeah, the Trevor Henderson did the creature design.
Oh, right. Trevor, yeah.
For the tarot cards, and it was really awesome.
What's the movie about?
I mean, it's your pretty typical, like, oh, let's do a tarot reading with this random deck of cards we found in the attic, and maybe there's a witch possessing them. I don't know, like, and then oh shoot, now we conjured some shit. It's your typical like tarot trope plot, not super fascinating or groundbreaking in any way, but the creatures just, you know, whatever reading she gave the person, that creature comes in to get them, basically. It's like It's like Ouija meets why am I blanking on the not I know what you did last summer, but the
It's kind of Final Destination.
yes, thank you. That's the one I was trying to think of. Yes, it's like Ouija meets Final Destination. Like you get, oh, that card was my tarot reading. Now that creature's going to come kill you or whatever. It's really like very simple in premise, but the creatures are just awesome. So shout out to that.
Every time that premise comes up anywhere, I always think of the movie The Mummy, where the guy in the middle of the night, he wakes up and he goes, "No, you must not read from the book."
Yes. Like that. Yeah. Oh, and then they're like, oh no, you can't, it's not good to read a tarot deck that wasn't, I don't know. They just come up with like rules that are
Right.
not real and stupid anyway, but it's like, yeah.
All right, Alan.
Pretty much the same things most everybody else said. Oddity was probably my favorite film. The performance by the lead actress, that was so good I didn't even realize it was two different actors at first, or one actor at first.
Yeah, incredible.
Just again, repeat Late Night with the Devil. The way it recreated 70s weirdness was like something I half remembered from my childhood. So I like that one a lot. And for a short film, I don't know if anybody saw it, but Benjamin Percy, the horror writer, he directed a short film called 13th Night. And that was excellent. And if you get a chance to see it, it's on Amazon's Bloody Bites anthology show.
Is it numerals night or spelled out?
13th, yeah, using the numbers.
Okay,
13th
night.
So, Alan, is it like a half hour? We could show it as a prequel.
It's only about 15 minutes.
Sounds perfect.
I'll check it out too. Yeah. Okay, movies. Anybody else? Pete.
One more.
Yeah.
I include this just because, it's not groundbreaking. It's not even that good, but it's just fun as all hell. Abigail. Abigail is just fun. That doesn't take itself too. What's that?
I thought it was too long.
Yeah.
Secret ballot.
What?
All right. Well, anyway,
Oh,
what's going to happen. You know they're going to die. Someone's going to live to, whatever, but it's just fun. That the last 15 minutes when dad shows up is probably not necessary, but I had a good time watching, this is funny because earlier on I just said I don't like torture porn, but I kind of like I liked watching everybody get killed in unique and interesting ways.
I got some Usual Suspects vibes from it.
Yeah.
Really? I love that film. Well, I'm glad you said this, Pete, because I keep scrolling past Abigail and thinking, do I want to watch this or not? I think I do now.
Okay, so having seen it, my thought is the only way to watch it is with a bottle of, say, vodka right in front of you, and you take a shot every time she dances.
Yeah.
And by the end of the show, you'll think this is the greatest movie of all time.
So what I will say is that, sorry, that was my cat.
Cats are welcome here.
Much recommend over Abigail, Livid, which is an older ballerina vampire horror movie.
How do you spell that?
God, there's a separate genre, ballerina vampires.
Of like 3 movies. Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
There's first of all, there's a whole genre of ballerina horror movies.
Oh yeah.
Seriously.
You've got dance, you've got ballerina, you've got vampire, you've got horror ballerina, you got vampire horror ballerina.
Yeah. Sure. And then the other thing I'm going to mention is because
wait a second. How do you spell Livid?
Livide. Or by L-I-V-I-D.
Livid?
Livid with an E?
That's a French movie.
Oh, Livid.
Okay, sorry, Pete. Go ahead.
A Quiet Place Day One.
Yes.
Really enjoyable. I think watching it, it hit me as I went with my family and I was walking out and my kids were like, "Why aren't you saying anything?" And I said, "Because this is a 9/11 movie." And I think that possibly one of the reasons it doesn't work is because it's still too soon. but it was a pretty decent film. It had some good work in it. I just don't think it's going to go anywhere because it's too close to home still.
I'm sorry, I missed the title.
A Quiet Place Day
Oh,
One.
right. Okay.
It's the third sequel and first prequel to A Quiet Place.
They did Nicolas Cage did a firefighters 9/11 movie just like 3 to 4 years afterwards, and I thought, man, that's way too soon. But that's just me.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
But Quiet Place Day One has like a rock star cat survival theme, so it's worth watching just for that.
Oh yeah, the
Really?
cat survives everything.
I would not have started that if. Yeah.
What about A Quiet Place Part 2? 'Cause I didn't like A Quiet Place 1, to be honest.
So I didn't like the Quiet Place one that much either, but I
Yeah.
did like this one, the one that we're talking, this third one.
The
Yeah.
prequel.
I never saw the second one because I didn't like the first one. So
I'm in the same boat, but I've only seen the one, but
The second one really just continues the story and clears up some plot things, but it doesn't really do anything remarkable. It's not bad. It just it closes some loopholes, and so it's sort of satisfying in that way, but that's about it.
One of the things my kids say is that the Day One actually provides lore that neither of the first two films did. That they were excited about that.
that piques my interest, actually. Yeah.
You
I
know,
was
Pete,
really happy though, because I hate origin movies where it's like you lose the mystery and it kind of ruins it. But this, I thought, did it really well because it still didn't really explain what happened.
No.
It just gives you enough lore, like pizza.
Yeah.
so Pete, this issue of like being too close to 9/11, I think that very much depends upon the fact that you experienced it.
Yeah.
Okay, whereas for younger people, it's more a thought. Like, for example, of all these movies, I haven't really watched those movies, The Hangover, but I think I ended up seeing part of The Hangover 2, and they had a montage of photographs of what they did that night at the end. And there's one where they're imitating a scene from the Vietnam conflict where the chief of police summarily executed someone in a street battle, hold a
Right.
gun up to his head, blew his brains out. That photograph is, I think, searing. And I think making the mockery of it really actually incensed me
Yeah.
that someone would do something like that for such a terrible moment in history.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
you saw what happened, there's no one's being taken into custody. He's not going to get a trial. It's just 1 second later he's there, and a second later he's dead, and they're going to make fun of it in this movie montage photograph. And I don't even know if someone who wasn't from that era would have been
You can
so offended
recognize
as
it.
I was.
And something like that, no amount of time is enough to do something like that.
It's interesting you say that because earlier we were talking about here is that they're talking about generation beta and how we're going to define that. And I think what we're going to find out is that generation beta is defined by not having experienced COVID. The
What is
lockdown.
Generation Beta?
The first
Huh?
generation beta is like the second generation after 2000.
Okay. Whereas my son was born in 2002, so he's a millennial,
Generation
right?
alpha.
Oh, he's Generation Alpha.
Yeah.
Okay, and you and I are X, right?
Yep.
So, and what would Matt be then? Z?
Technically, I'm in the baby boom, but
That's true.
like
You're at
most
the
of,
end of the baby boom, though.
right, where I missed out on all the good fun stuff.
What, like World War II?
And now I just
drugs and sex?
I just get the probation,
So you weren't at Woodstock.
Oh, I wish. I was alive during Woodstock. That's about it. I watched Laugh In. Does that count?
Any more movies, guys, before we move on? This is great.
So there were great movies this year. So based on
We
this
didn't even mention Longlegs. You didn't like it?
I love Long Legs, but I know it's a divisive movie.
Okay, everybody, Longlegs versus Oddity. Which one do you like better?
I just think there's lots of movies out there for the people listening to this to go explore. There's great flicks out
agree.
there.
Agree.
Yeah.
No
What
one.
was the Nicolas Cage movie that was not good?
Which one was good?
Oh, Arcadian.
Is that good? That's a no.
I think the acting and the script from for the younger people in the film are pretty good. Nicolas Cage is a little over top.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. And then I liked that they tried to do something interesting with the monster. I just found it kind of laughable. It just didn't work. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just think it was more ridiculous than terrifying.
So Kim in the side chat said two things that were hilarious. First of all, the generations. Speaking of Matt, Kim says, so he's a late boomer. Yeah, and then she said Pete's size equals buckle up.
Yes.
All right, are we done with movies?
Sure. Let's
Books.
go to
Who wants to
bed.
do books or TV next? Movies takes up a lot of time, but TV won't take up as much, I don't think. From is still going on, right? Are you guys still watching From?
I gave up on From.
I gave up on From too.
I gave up on From too.
I enjoyed the first season. We just watched it on movie night.
It's
I'm not
lost
gonna
all
wa-
over again,
I'm not going to watch.
Exactly.
and it's
like,
from the same people.
I'm not going to watch the second season until we watch it again on movie night. So that might not be for a year. But I certainly enjoyed that first season.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna watch it until it's over and there's a promise that there is a resolution.
Yeah.
Until then, I am not investing any more time.
It didn't seem like they learned anything from Lost about stretching things out a little much. You know.
I want to get a shirt that says "I'm with Nadia," on this subject because it's just that's why I gave up because it literally the end of season 2 just what no
I haven't gotten that far.
you don't
So,
want to.
Okay.
I
I'll
will
take
say
your
I
word for
watched
it.
a new TV show, Teacup, which is on Peacock.
Oh
Which
yeah.
is Stinger.
And I mean, so it was one of those things where like they could have just freaking wrapped it up in one season, but they decided to, of course, extend, and I don't think that was a good idea. But I will say, at the end of episode 2, there is a death scene that is probably the most horrific thing that I have like seen in a long, long time.
Really?
And it was so shocking. Like episode 1 is like pretty boring. But then there's this death scene, and you're like, oh my good Lord Almighty, what is happening? So, probably not for you, Mike, because it's very body horror.
Okay. Thank
This
you.
is Robert McCammon's Stinger.
Yes.
I'm almost 54.
I don't know.
And I'm just getting to the point where I don't have any patience for watching something that is boring. I have a limited amount of time left in my life.
I hear you. Yeah.
Not as limited as some, Dr. Carpenter, but still limited. Okay, what else besides From TV horror?
I watched season 2 of Squid Game, which just came out after Christmas, and it was pretty intense. It ended, and now I just want to watch season 3. I think they definitely treated it like part 2 to a trilogy. Had a very interesting spin. They did take it a different place from season 1. Yeah, creepy and dark and good, very good.
I haven't seen any of that. Is it worth watching as far as what I like and don't like?
I mean, it's its own thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's people down on their luck who are coerced into playing this game. to what they think is going to improve their financial status and get them out of debt. And they're like little kids games. And if you like, the first game they play is red light, green light. And if they move after it says red light, then they just are murdered. So it's like win the game or die, basically. It's incredibly brutal. And it's just the contrast of the fact that it's the little kid games and everything's bright colors and it's very, like la 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 la. And then there's just people getting murdered all over the place. So it's not like it's easy to watch. It's pretty brutal. But it has that commentary on society, the commentary on relationships and class structure and all that I think it makes it something that you think about long after you watch it. So
well, that's
I
always
had a similar
good.
response to Alice in Borderland in terms of the brutality.
But this show is not supernatural, right?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Go ahead. Sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, I think Squid Game is Korean, Alice in Borderland is Japanese. It's not exactly the same, but sort of similar. These people are forced into this situation where these games take place, and if you lose, you really lose everything, and it's quite dehumanizing violence. So I really, after watching that, I avoided Squid Game. Isabel blew through it, but I didn't watch it.
It's kind of like Hostel times 100.
Wow. Holy moly.
But it's the characters make it worth it.
I'd have to say my top TV series is just reiterate that I liked Evil a lot. Some episodes more than others, but as generally speaking, to me it was very entertaining. And the characters and the actors were fascinating to watch.
So my favorite TV show this past year was not horror. It was called Slow Horses, which is a look at the British Secret Service, but the people who fuck up on an assignment and are not drummed out of the service are sent over to this section where they basically don't do anything but file and sit at desks and draw a paycheck. But the guy who wrote the books it's based on is, you could think of as the literary heir of John le Carre. So these are really complex. Each season's only like 6 episodes, but they're very complex espionage stories, and it's got really good action, intense mysteries, great actors. So if you want to watch something, I've watched, there are 4 seasons. I think I've watched them all. I wish season 5 was out. It's just really good.
This is the show that Isabel made you watch, right?
Well, but we both wanted to see it. It's just kind of up our wheelhouse with the espionage stuff.
All right, I'm blanking on any other TV shows. What about you guys? Any others?
We didn't.
What?
Oh, Umbrella Academy. Yeah, we also didn't mention True Detective.
Oh yeah, that was entertaining.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That was like so early in the year.
I didn't like that season much.
Yeah.
But it's well made. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Kind of horror, Jason. I really enjoyed the Fallout TV show this summer.
What's that about?
From the video game series.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was good.
Walton Goggins as a cowboy zombie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I watched one episode. It was actually I actually watched the part where the nuclear attack happens. That was incredibly horrific.
It's really good. It's really good. Yeah. Umbrella Academy was disappointing, mostly because they rewrote all the characters and gave them different powers, and it didn't work anymore. surprisingly, and I didn't think I would like it, but there were some really high spots in this, is Secret Level, which is an anthology series where I don't know how they did it, but they got permission to make little short films from various role-playing games and video games. And man, the Pac-Man episode is incredibly disturbing and really, really good.
It's called Secret Level.
Secret Level. There's a Warhammer 30,000 episode or 40,000 episode. That's, if you like Warhammer, hey, you got a 15-minute film. But yeah, it's there's some really good stuff in there. But
Episodes are only about 15 minutes long.
yeah, Alan, you saw I know you saw the Pac-Man episode. I was just like, I just, because you're running through this stuff and a lot of it's a bright and bubbly, and okay, that's great. And then this Pac-Man episode comes on. It's like, what are you going to do with Pac-Man? And it's like, holy shit, how did you do this with Pac-Man?
At first, you don't have no idea what this has to do with Pac-Man, and then you're watching it, and okay, and then, like you say, it just goes somewhere you didn't.
See, this is why I love doing this, not just for the listeners and viewers, but for myself as well, because I had not even heard of this, and it looks. I just Googled it. It looks really, really interesting.
It has I think almost every episode has a different style of art. It's some of them the episodes are fun, some of them are frightening, some of them are disturbing.
Alan turned me on to Creature Commandos. I gotta say, I am super enjoying that.
I'm enjoying it. I don't know that it's good, but I'm enjoying it.
Well, the same thing with Mythic Quest. We just found that series. It's 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
We're really liking it.
Donna mentioned something in the side chat that I was going to bring up. I have not seen, but the question is this related to the Creep movies? There's a TV show called The Creep Tapes, or is this different? Have you guys seen the Creep movies?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't a dad joke, but they are really creepy.
Have you seen the TV series, Mike?
No. Are they related?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Donna says that she really liked it.
Yeah, no, they're really. I actually connected with the TV series. I would say I'm not entirely done. A little more than I did with the movies, actually. For what it's worth.
All right.
So, if you're a fan, definitely check those out.
One that I could not get into, even though I love the book and the movie, was Interview with the Vampire. That TV series.
Didn't try.
I didn't either. I just can't. I watched Mayfair Witches because I really loved those Anne Rice books, and yeah.
Oh, good. Is it no good?
Bridget sighs.
I mean, if you hadn't read the books, maybe, but there were some things that they did that were cool, but it was its own thing. It was so far from the books.
Mandy needs me to go handle the pork belly, which is a very delicate issue.
That sounds really kind of obscene.
It's not enough euphemism, is it?
No, it's not. Getting the crisp on the pork belly is important. But before I go, I want to talk about the podcast that I like all year. I've been listening to the Magnus Archives.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I like that.
And this year they released the sequel, the Magnus Protocols. And that has continued to be really, really good.
Magnus or Magnus?
Magnus.
Okay.
And the archives was 200 episodes over 4 years. I listened to them all. Like, you can do like 12 episodes a day. They're only like 10, 15 minutes long.
Okay.
But it's some of the finest horror I've heard in a long time.
Really?
Yeah. There's some really great stuff in there.
Is it on an audio drama format?
Yes.
Wow. Well, you know how I feel about that.
I think the first year starts out as a single person. And then as the seasons go on, they add more and more cast members.
All right.
So, and now that I think BBC America called it one of the most funded and largest followed podcasts in Britain. It's really good. I'm just amazed by it.
You guys have mentioned it once or twice before, and I haven't gotten to it yet. But this, I mean, you're giving it a strong recommendation, so
Yeah.
I'll have to do that. All right. Well, good luck with the pork belly.
Yep. Thank you. Sorry, guys.
Oh, no
Jealous.
problem.
That sounds delicious.
Good to
Does,
see you,
doesn't
Pete.
it? All right. Bye.
Mail me some food. All right. Any other TV shows, you guys? I can't think of any others. Books. Who would like to start and recommend a few books before we wrap up here? Okay, good. Oh, there you go, Alan. Or Matt.
Yeah, go ahead, Alan.
Me?
Yeah.
Sure. Of course, I know everybody's going to say Secret Language of Spiders by Kelly Young. That's
Never heard of it or him.
we've talked about it a little bit, but
he's got another book coming up, folks. That's all I can say.
And for comic books, Freddy the Fix. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's Garth Ennis, who did The Boys. It's a comic book, one-shot comic book that just came out about a month ago. And I guess if I gave the Hollywood pitch for it, it's Roger Rabbit, except with monsters. So it's set in a Hollywood where monsters are, real, and they act and they're on screen, and they screw up and get into scandals, and Freddy fixes things.
Okay.
So
all
that's
right.
my two.
Anybody else?
I got slightly a different take on books. Because I thought maybe I'd talk about like 5 things I got as a collector that I think are just great.
Sure.
Cool.
So this is also to make everybody jealous, but this came
Show
out.
and tell.
Yeah, I saw your Facebook post that I'd get jealous.
This is just out from Kickstarter. It was a hardcover edition of the original Kolchak novel, The Night Stalker. It's not got lots of art, but it's just a beautifully made book. And I did not have a copy of this novel. I have a few Kolchak stories by C.J. Henderson, but that's a really nice thing, and I'm sure you can get a copy pretty easily. It shouldn't be breathtakingly expensive. When we were at Necronomicon, Santiago Caruso, the artist, had a table next to ours, and he self-published a book of his art. It's incredible. It's just like he's an amazing. I think he's from Argentina. It's like these are just gorgeous works, and he only has a few copies left. I don't know if he sold them out while he was at the convention, but this is like he just did this sketch on the interior cover.
Wow.
While I was sitting there talking to him.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I really was happy to get a collection of his artwork because I didn't have one before.
By the way, he's a really nice guy, and he was going to be on the podcast several weeks ago, but he was kind of, obviously English is a second language, and was pretty nervous about a format like this for an interview. So I'm going to do an email interview with him sometime soon. So
sure, he's an interesting guy, and he's very approachable.
Yeah.
Really, really talented. Okay, so one of the bitter things that happened this year is Dark Regions Press went under. They've gone bankrupt. They're not paying any of their creditors. There's no assets. They've filed for bankruptcy. We're not going to get anything. And I was owed a copy of a book promised in 2019, Pirates of the Old World. Never going to happen now. Well, fortunately, there's Weird House Publishing. They make gorgeous hardcover editions. This is Pete Rawlick's collection. Just a beautiful hardcover from Weird House. It's called the Cthulhu Heresy. if you don't want to get a collector's copy, what you can do is this is available, I think, in both e-publication and paperback. But if you are a collector, you have to get in on these kind of early. You get these slip-cased editions.
Yeah.
And so this is probably one of the most beautiful books of Pete's stories to be published so far. I was happy to be able to get a copy of that. Okay, now, this is a company that I really like called Beehive Books. They are publishing, none of these are groundbreaking works. They're all old classics mostly, but the editions are absolutely gorgeous. I just got a copy of A Voyage to Arcturus by David Lindsay, that 1920 psychedelic science fiction. This is The Willows
Wow.
by Algernon Blackwood. And the interior art is absolutely lovely. All of their books have interior art, and this is by Paul Pope.
I love
And
that story.
yeah, it's another. It's like this is like his depiction of the wild ride in their canoe down the river.
Huh.
So the it's not like these are not outrageously unaffordable, but they are rather expensive for one of these books. If you're just like idly want to read the story, you're just going to go online and read it for free, right?
You have
But
my
if,
postal address, right?
but if you want a tray cased, I guess, edition with beautiful art, Beehive Books, every single book of theirs that I've gotten, I've been very happy with. One of the things that has struck me over the last 5 years, 10 years maybe, H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society has morphed. When they've originated decades ago, it was just a couple of theater kids who were friends who wanted to translate their love of props into Lovecraftian publishing. And now they have partnered with Helios House Press, a boutique press in the UK, and they are making gorgeous, kind of important editions. This is essentially a facsimile edition of the Shunned House. It's really spectacular. It's like kind of a hand sewn, beautiful edition of which reproduces like the original published version of the Shunned House. So there are collector's volumes always being released. It's hard to keep track of all of them, but these are the 5 of the ones that really I enjoyed the most this year.
While you're on the subject of the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, I want to just quickly say something I've been meaning to say for a while and remind everybody of the really wonderful audio dramas that they do. Now, I've got 2 of these. It's volume 1 and volume 2. And, as you know, every once in a while, Matt, they release another audio drama.
Right.
I forget what the latest one was. But these sets here, Google Dark Adventure Radio Theater, H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. But they sent me all this. I'm not doing this right. With the props and everything. And if you can afford it, which I cannot, these guys were just being nice to me. This is just an incredible thing to have. It's got audio.
They're both theater performers,
Yeah.
and they're very tactile. So one of the
Yeah.
great things about their publications, like even these audio dramas, is they'll send you a little thing of props that you can get with it, like a train ticket, a telegram, a map.
Right. And
It really
these
just
these
makes
things right here are what you might refer to in a comic book series as an omnibus. They're putting all the audio dramas into 2 volumes. And there's more to come, obviously. I don't have the latest one in these, but if you can afford it, these things are really incredible, especially if you like audio drama. And of course, if you can't afford it and you just want to listen, you can also get the digital downloads on their website without the props. but also still very entertaining. So I've just been wanting to mention that, and you reminded me.
The Temple was the newest one, Mike.
Right. I need to get that. Yeah. So, okay, books. Anyone else who wants to talk about books they enjoyed in 2024?
I am behind on my reading, but I do want to shout out a short story collection that I read, and full disclosure, but I thought it was great. It's called All Your Friends Are Here by M. Shaw out of Tenebris Press. Just very weird, dark. Like when I say weird, I mean like weird, like unimaginable by anybody else. In my opinion. M. Shaw does a really good job, I think, sort of meditating on what it means to be human. And all of these stories are that.
It's called All Your Friends Are Here?
All Your Friends Are Here.
Okay.
Yeah. It just came out this month. But I really strongly recommend it.
Writing it down. I'll get it. It sounds, yeah. All Your Friends Are Here. Okay. Anything else, Nadia?
I mean, I have things that I want to read, but I can't like actually, wreck them. So yeah.
A lot of people are mentioning Laird's collection, Not a Speck of Light, and if you haven't read it yet, definitely get it.
Boy, that was a smash hit for Bad Hand Books, right?
Really was. Yeah.
So that's so good for both the company and for the author.
Yeah, and it's good news for Laird when he, in a time where he needs all the good news he can get, So, what did you guys think of Stephen King's collection?
I was just going to mention that.
Sure.
Thought that was one of the strongest he's put out in a while.
Anyone else read this?
Not yet.
Bridget, you liked Max D. Stanton's book, didn't you? The Frankenstein book?
Yes. Yep. That was I am horrible about reading books the year that they came out. So I just didn't really have anything to add that I haven't said already. But yes, much praise for Max's book. That's the exception. That's what but I've talked about it before, so I just didn't have anything to add that I hadn't already talked about, but I do love that book. It was great.
It's called Frankenstein Enterprises, by the way.
Yes, Max Denton. It's awesome. And a more social commentary. I love that.
Yeah. Alan?
I like Sean Hamill's The Dissonance. He was on the podcast this year.
Yes. Brian Evanson has a new collection out. We had him on earlier too. My computer's being really slow, but Good Night, Sleep Tight. That's what it was. I really enjoyed every story in this collection, and there's some really disturbing stories in it. And Brian's a really good writer, and he has a really great imagination. So definitely pick up Good Night, Sleep Tight, guys. And if you've not read any other of Brian's stuff, you definitely should. You can use this new one as a jumping off point if you want to. You mentioned The Dissonance. Oh, Crypt of the Moon Spider by Nathan Ballingard.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to reading that one.
Excellent. And I don't know if it still is, but earlier this week it was only 99 cents or $1, something cheap on Kindle. So, if somebody wants to check if it still is, and if you're a Kindle person, it's kind of a mix between Bradbury and Lovecraft in a way. But Nathan is super, super, super talented. I really enjoyed that book. Matt, you read The Daughter's War, didn't you, by Christopher Buehlman?
Yes. So this is getting into fantasy of the type that might be referred to as grimdark. A couple years ago, he wrote this book called Black Tongue Thief, which I thought was superb. Black humor, creative, interesting creatures and worlds and settings. And he has, the author has a certificate in being a person who is certified to conduct staged duels in a play, for example. So there's a certain amount of training, and through all this training, he got very good at describing action. So people have been hounding him to like write a sequel to The Black Tongue Thief. So what he did instead was he wrote a prequel by one of the main characters in Black Tongue Thief who doesn't have a sense of humor. So it's not a funny book, although some amusing things happen. It's more just an earnest story set in the same world, and the same gifts are on display. The guy is just super creative. This is bursting with ideas. If I didn't like it quite as much as Black Tongue Thief, it's just because the lead character wasn't quite as engaging, although I still really like this book. And now he was saying he's got ideas for continuing on the story later. And it's like, okay, well, when's it coming out? It's like, I shouldn't even complain because we're never going to get Patrick Rothfuss's final book in the name of the wind, or who knows if we'll ever see the final two books in Game of Thrones. And oh, what about David Gerrold's War of the Couture? That sequel is 40 years in arrears. But I just really hope this Christopher Buehlman will write that other book. He plans to, and it's entertaining for him as well as, I guess, good business. So I'm really looking forward to what he comes up with next.
Gwendolyn, but Christopher is really a talented writer, but in addition, has a wonderful ability to really paint the scenes in your head with his words. And if you haven't read his vampire books, you should as well.
I think that understanding. I'm currently a book that I'm reading is Those Across the River.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But it's like the fact that he is trained in like conducting duels. He really sort of understands how the mechanics of what would actually take place in a fight.
Yeah.
So it makes for more riveting reading, I think.
Also want to mention, and she was on earlier in the year too, Gwendolyn Keist's new book, The Haunting of Velkwood, was really enjoyable.
I didn't realize it had come out. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Nope.
He
I'm
is a
sorry.
really
This
cool-
is okay. My bad. You're right. It comes out in 2 days.
All right. She is such a cool person.
She really is. But I enjoyed it. So 24, 25 doesn't matter. You should pick it up, guys, and do a pre-order if you VELKWOOD, The Haunting of Velkwood. And
It's like, so she comes on the show and it's like, hey, I'll hang out with you nerds.
Yeah, something like that's what
She's
Nadia
cool.
said too. Keist is Kiste, and she's a really great writer. So, and we also had Kristen Dearborn on earlier in the year, and this is on Kindle Unlimited too for you Kindle folks, and it's called Faith of Dawn. Kristen really likes monsters, and private investigator Amanda Lane thought she'd gotten her life together after losing her leg in Afghanistan, but a crumbling marriage and PTSD showed her she couldn't be further from the truth. She decides to go back to the odd little Florida town where she lived as a girl, not to reconnect with family, but because of the cold case of 2 missing college students seems to point there. If she can solve this case, she reasons, her estranged husband will see her as a hero and will have to take her back. Maybe not. However, in the heart of the Ocala National Forest, almost 700 square miles of pine scrub and swamp, waits a horrifying truth about her childhood that will push her to the edge of her sanity. It's a really good book. Faith of Dawn. by Kristen Dearborn. And talking to her about this, I mentioned Missing 411. You know, regardless of what conclusions you draw from those, they're entertaining, and I recommended the documentary, not Missing 411, which sucks, but Missing 411, The Hunted, which is really, really good. And anyone listening to me, if you haven't seen that, it's very enjoyable and very creepy. And she and DeBronzo and I are going to be doing a Missing 411 Patreon podcast sometime soon. And for any of you guys that want to join in as well. But that'll be really fun. So I wanted to mention those two books too. Any others, guys? Any other books you want to mention?
I just saw one online that I must have.
What?
It is Scooby Doom versus the Cult of Cthulhu. It's a Ruse Your Own Adventure.
Oh my God.
I
Oh,
just
you're speaking my language.
I gotta get that.
Roll, Raggy. Oh my God. Oh, okay. Well, you can read it and tell me how it is. How's that?
It's a game.
Yeah. I know there's more books, but we recommend books every single episode, so I'm probably blanking on some because I've mentioned them before, or we have. But before we wrap up, Alan, do you want to mention a few horror games for those gamers out there?
One specifically, if I had to pick one game from the year, it would be Still Wakes the Deep. It's set on a North Sea oil platform in the 1970s. So you can think elements of the thing, color out of space, but it does its own thing. It becomes really part of it really just recreates this Scottish culture, working class culture in the 1970s, and the characters are all just so well drawn.
What
And
platforms?
if you're
What platforms?
it's on consoles and computers. It's kind of an easy
Macintosh?
game. It's an easy game, but if you run it on computers, you need to have a good system.
Is it available for Mac?
Probably not. It's an easy game. It's not a game that's going to make you throw the controller across the room in disgust. It wants you to experience the story.
Looks like it's got some body horror in it. I
Yeah.
haven't played it yet, but
Yes.
any others that you want to mention?
I'm playing one right now that just came out called 10 Dead Doves. It's an Appalachian horror kind of thing. And I haven't finished it, but it's really good, and you shouldn't have to worry about it running on a non-state-of-the-art computer.
You liking it so far, is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's more Lynch than Lovecraft, but
Okay.
it's a good horror game.
I want to mention that Gemma Files collection, We Will All Go Down Together, is currently only $1.99 on Kindle. So, and Gemma just can't write a bad story. So, all right. Any others, you guys? Welcome to 2025. So, I was watching Danielle. Just real quick. I was watching Danielle every night. She's on TikTok, when she's getting ready for bed, and she'll scroll past them, and occasionally there'll be news talks or whatever you call them. I'm not really a TikTok person, and I thought when I was a kid, living in Des Moines, Iowa, the Des Moines Register was the Des Moines Register and Tribune. The Des Moines Register was the morning paper, the morning edition, and then the evening edition came out obviously in the evening. So there were two editions of this paper, and not that big of a town. I mean, it's Iowa, yeah, but it's the capital city of Iowa, and that's how you get your news, as well as the 10 o'clock news or whatever. And I thought, if I went to 78 and I tried to explain to the people in 1978 how my wife gets her news from this little phone that she holds in her hand with little videos of people talking to her, it's just
I read a description of that as like, what would be the most difficult thing to explain to a person if you came to the past? And it
Yeah.
would be like, I have a device in my hand, in my pocket, that is this big, that contains all the knowledge available in the whole world.
Yeah.
And I use it to argue with strangers on the internet and look at pictures of cats.
That's about
But we
right.
don't have, but we don't have flying cars.
Right?
No.
No, but
Do you
we
guys
can, we can look at
remember,
all the cat videos we want.
You guys remember the TV adaptation of 11/22/63, Stephen King's time travel book? One of the things when this woman he's with in the past, she's in the past in the early 1960s, and he's from more or less the present day. She's like, "Tell me something else about the future, something real about the future." And he tells her about everyone carries their phones around and they use them for this and that. She's like, "No, no, no. Come on, tell me something that's really real." You know? So I thought that was funny. Price.
Oh, yes. To try to win a copy of Letters to Lovecraft, send an email to easyandprizes@gmail.com and put letters in the subject heading. We'll probably be drawing a winner in March.
Well,
Plenty of time to enter.
yeah, thanks for doing that. easyandprizes@gmail.com. And Nadia, thank you for being here today. It was really great to see you again.
Great to see you guys too. Thanks for having me on.
No, thank you. I appreciate you taking the time. Last but not least, the only reason I can keep doing this and the other Lovecraft Easing projects is because of my Patreons. And if you enjoy what we do and you like being part of the community, I mean, the lowest tier is only $5 a month, and you get all these other additional podcasts that are not available to the public. And the higher the tier, the more fun stuff and swag that you get. And there's merch that you can get if you're a patron for a certain amount of time that I send to you for free at that point. So please consider it. Wikipedia is a good example. And I'm not bringing this up because of Elon Musk. I used this example like a few months ago. I was on Wikipedia and they did one of their things, we can't be bought. Please support us so that, Wikipedia can continue. And I thought, this isn't right. I use Wikipedia really often and they're asking me for $3 a month. I needed to sign up for this. And, that's that's a good example for this. If you want to keep me going, keep all this paid podcast going, please consider it, and you'll get a lot of extras too. So, hey, thanks guys for being here. Thank you for being here. I mean,
Happy New Year.
yes,
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, and
Yay, 2025.
next week,
We
Yay.
all survive.
huh?
So, wait, Bridget, it's only 2 more years to retirement, right?
Ish, yes.
Only 2. Let's see. So next Sunday we've got Simon Stranzis. So
Nice.
that'll be a great episode. So for those of you who watch me during the week, I'll see you Tuesday and Thursday, and everyone else, we will see you next week. So thanks for watching. Can't find my end button. This is weird. Stop recording.
Recording stopped.
There you go. Thanks, guys. I'm having one of those days, I'll tell you that.
It's all good.
Yeah.
All right, I gotta go make dinner.
Yeah. Pork?
Yeah.
Is it pork?
No,
That's not pork.
there'll be no pork involved.
Okay.
That would be a really weird, like, Twilight Zone kind of thing if everybody was like, oh, I'm making pork belly too. Like,
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for
Night.
being here, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
I